so much for taking time out for this podcast and joining me today. How's life lately?
Hello, Harjit. Let's get this show on the road. Life has been very nice, very busy. Very busy with work, thus nothing to complain about, nothing bad to complain about, only good things to complain about. Thank God. Hustling. I was telling you also before we start recording this episode, right? I've been traveling quite a lot lately for work. We're doing very interesting stuff within the blockchain industry as a whole, the tech industry, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the episode. And so, yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to do this episode with you.
Love it, and I'm looking forward for this knowledge packed podcast with you. Karim, I know you're an immigrant, so let's start talking about where you're from and how did you decide on coming to Canada?
Sure, love it, love it. It's always also nice to hear what's the first sentence that someone says to identify themselves. And I like that. So I'm a Lebanese person. I'm from Lebanon, obviously. It's a tiny dot on the map. But we're spread all over the world. Born and raised in Lebanon, traveled all over the world, did my undergraduate in Lebanon, decided to come to Canada to pursue my master's degree. Did my master's degree in entrepreneurship or tech entrepreneurship to be really fair and really exact. I worked and I coached at an incubator for a couple of years. And now we've been running my own blockchain consulting firm for the last 3 years. It's been very successful. It's been quite nice ride. And I can't wait for what's next in store for us.
Amazing. So when I came across your profile, I saw that you're a Web3 consultant and a community manager for blockchain, correct?
Yeah, 100%. This is our bread and butter. This is what we breathe and eat every day.
Wonderful. So let's start talking about these one by one, starting off with blockchain. If you have to explain blockchain in like very simple terms, how would you explain? For say, if you have to explain it to a 15-year-old, how would
Yeah.
you explain it to them?
I think the question you're asking, even though our industry has been like what 10, 15 years in the making, is one of the hardest questions to answer. There's a lot of smart people out there that are able to throw technical terms, but that a 15-year-old will not understand. I like to take pride, and one thing I do very well is educate others about blockchain. Okay, so I'll try to keep it short. What blockchain is a new concept to us, I think, as a human society. Okay, the way I started out is this, right? We as a human race operate millions of transactions every day. These transactions are monetary, but also there are transactions of data, there are transactions of information, there are transactions of asset. All of these transactions happen between two parties, the buyer and the seller, right? Party A, party B. There always needs to be a third party to ensure trust in the transaction, that you pay the right amount, that the store charges the right amount, that you receive your item, that you send this email, so on and so forth. All of these transactions, there's a third party that ensures trust. Blockchain, in its simplest term, takes this third party that ensures trust and decentralizes it. So when you go to a bank, correct? Or when you go to a Nike store and you pass a normal transaction, it's you, the Nike store, and the bank, right? You and the Nike store are transacting with each other. You're buying an Air Force from the Nike store. You're passing your Visa card. The bank ensures that this transaction is trustless. You're paying the right amount, so on and so forth. The bank has something called the ledger. This ledger is where the bank keeps a record of all of the transactions. Now, imagine this ledger is, instead of being only in the hands of the bank, is distributed to whoever wants to put in power to validate the transaction. That's how blockchain works. I'll also say it in another way, right? It's called the blockchain because it's literally a series of blocks. Each block, it gets encoded with data. For the technical nerds out there, and I won't spend too much time on this, right? The block gets filled with data. The block generates two things, a hash and a nonce. Imagine it as a key and the keyhole, okay? You need to figure out the nonce to verify the hash. Once that's done, the data that's in the block is verified.
I see.
So that's what people, when you hear, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself now, when you hear miners, blockchain miners, and maybe you've seen these videos on the internet of the huge mining farms with computers on top of each other. These computers are literally finding the nonce, the key, to the keyhole, the hash, to verify the data that's in the block. The last thing I'll say is this, right? Someone pushes a transaction, it gets distributed to the network, to the blockchain network. It gets encoded into a block. Once the block gets filled, people put their processing power to solve the block, aka to find the hash that corresponds to the correct nonce. Imagine it as a very publicly shared notebook where people write things, and then when every page is filled, we all get to check, okay, guys, do we all have the same info? Do we all have the same copy of the notebook? Great, we all have it. Flip the page, go to the next block. And I'll also say this is very interesting because I believe blockchain technology is similar to AI, similar to the internet, similar to the printing press, similar to the biggest inventions in human history, is something we need as a human race to evolve. There's a very nice scale called the Kardashev scale. The Kardashev scale is a scale they measure on the progress of civilizations, from unicellular organisms to civilizations that have conquered galaxies. The scale is very wide. We as a human race have not yet reached level 1 on that scale. Level 1 on that scale is complete control over your planet's resources. Level 2 is over your solar system. Level 3 is over your galaxy, so on and so forth. So for us to evolve as a human race and to reach, Star Trek and Star Wars and these levels of movies and technology, we need a decentralized data storage system without a third party to authenticate. Imagine later on, all of these transactions will become way more numerous, and we're talking sci-fi here, right? Where we're colonizing multiple planets. These planets have to talk with each other. These systems have to talk with each other. We need a database that is not controlled by one individual, that does not need the okay from anyone, that is governed by code to be able to move forward as a civilization. This is what blockchain is. And ultimately, this is the fruit of what blockchain gives us as a human civilization. So yeah, long answer, but nice answer.
But a good introduction, and honestly, you answered one of my two follow-up questions. And the two questions were, does it matter if blockchain has to be decentralized or not? But then you answered that.
I'm also happy to answer all of these things,
Sure, like if you...
The blockchain industry is huge, and we can talk hours about one niche in it. Okay? So no, it doesn't need to be decentralized. I also think that what people think about blockchain is this utopic, decentralized, trustless, no government, lawless world, when it's not the case. We see countries like Estonia, we see countries like UAE, we see countries in some cases like the US also build their own private blockchains with one validator. So you are still getting all of the benefits of a blockchain, but it's not decentralized. It is decentralized because the number of validators are numerous. But you can still create a blockchain where there's only one entity that is validating the data that is being transmitted in it. And in my opinion, this is how government blockchains should and will work later on in the future. Not all data should be accessible. Not all data should be public, right? At some point, if we want to get to the nice things, in my opinion, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the episode, right? For example, tokenizing legal certificates, tokenizing car ownership, marriage papers, university degrees. All of these information should not be public. All of these information should be stored safe somewhere, but with one private validator, which is probably the government, something else. So no, it's decentralized because there's multiple validators, aka miners, checking the data that's encoded in every block and verifying it. But you could build a blockchain with one validator, and it wouldn't be decentralized.
Perfect.
So yeah.
So that answers my question. I do have another follow-up question. From what you explained, it sounded like it's pretty safe means of transaction. It records data properly and securely with the key and the keyhole example that you explained. However, are there still any chances that it could record a fake transaction and that could disrupt the entire data that blockchain has?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting questions, right? So the fact is, each blockchain operates differently. So there's multiple blockchains, and blockchains operate very, very, very much differently. This is why you cannot have, one car for all needs, one perfume for all needs, right? You need different blockchains to suit different needs. You need blockchains that are very secure, but not scalable. You need blockchains that are very scalable, but not cheap. You need blockchains that are very cheap, very scalable, but not secure to run different types of operations on, okay? Let's talk about Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin is currently, right, the biggest cryptocurrency. Its market dominance is about 50 to 60%. So Bitcoin holds 50 to 60% of all of the money that's put in cryptocurrency, right? Bitcoin operates on a system of proof of work, POW. It's very rudimentary in my opinion, but it's the most robust, secure way. Proof of work simply means this. If you have a majority consensus, 51% of the validators agree that this is the correct copy of the ledger. Again, Blockchain is a ledger. People are pushing transactions. These transactions are going up to the blockchain network into blocks. The blocks are being validated by miners. If the miners or the validators agree to a majority consensus of 51% that this is the data that's in the blockchain, then it will pass. Now, the problem here is 51% of Bitcoin's processing power now is enough power to power South America for a week. So it's not easy anymore to do it. It's not easy anymore a lot to do it. And funny enough, some people choose to become validators not for the reward, to also mention that these validators are getting rewards, right? Every block that they are validating, Bitcoin, for example, is issuing 2 Bitcoins. So every 10 minutes, the network is giving these validators 2 Bitcoins, which is about $250,000 now. So every 10 minutes, the network is pushing out 2 Bitcoins, $250,000. There's other consensus mechanisms. I'll just speak about one, right? There's a consensus mechanism that Ethereum, the second biggest cryptocurrency, adopted a couple of years ago. It's called the proof of stake. And I will explain very quickly the difference between these two. And you will let me know if I'm going too technical, right? Proof of work, Bitcoin, is we're all in a room and this message needs to be delivered to the other room. We all stand up, carry the paper all together, and go deliver it all together. So there's a waste of energy. There's duplicated effort, right? Because it's instead of one person being picked to do the task, we're all showing our work. It's called proof of work because you show your work into achieving the task. What Ethereum did a couple of years ago is that they upgraded their consensus mechanism. That's what it's called. They moved to proof of stake. Now you need to stake, I believe it's 21 ETH or 22 ETH, which amounts to almost $80,000 or $90,000 to become a validator on the ETH network. But validators are selected before the block comes out. So only one person spends energy and processing power to validate it. But if they pass a faulty transaction, the ETH that they have staked, the 22 ETH, gets taken away from them. So, and there's more consensus mechanisms, there's different ways to operate.
Amazing. Perfect. Can I ask you something besides Web3 and blockchain?
Yeah, feel free.
You are very articulate. Like, first of all, I would like to compliment you because I could literally imagine every step that you were talking about. Also, like, do you read a lot of books? Is that coming from reading a lot of books?
Probably if I flip the camera, I can show you,
That is
huge bookcase. Right now, I paused reading academic and research books. I took a personal choice to start reading the Bible. Once I finish that, I can move on to other things. I've become a bit of a religious person these last couple of years. But yes, I average about 8 books a year, 7 books a year, and I've been reading for the last 3 years. So I haven't been reading all my life. I was never a reader. I picked up The Daily Stoic, which is a book I recommend for everyone. And then that started the reading journey. Also, a thing about Lebanese, we're articulate in 3 languages. Most of us know how to speak English, French, and Arabic, which is a plus for us here in Ontario, right? So yeah, thank you. No, thank you for the compliment. Yes, I do read a lot. I don't read about my industry. I read about other stuff. Also, this is not my first time explaining blockchain, right? I've explained, if I haven't explained it, I've explained it to like 500 people. So this is how I started it off by saying there's lots of blockchain educators that can throw a lot of technical jargon to you, right? But not everyone can tell you this, right? That blockchain is simply a distributed notebook. People are asking the writers to put transactions. Once the page is filled, people are reviewing it, they're flipping the page. That's all there is, right? And I want to say one more thing. This is very important. We drive cars without knowing how engines work. We use the banking system without knowing how banks work. We will use blockchain without understanding how it works. Right? Listen. You and I drive a car now, right? If something would happen to your car while you're driving, would you know how to fix it? I wouldn't personally know, but you still drive the car and you trust that it will take you to and it will do its function. Do we all understand how the banking system works? We don't. But yet still we trust it with all of our funds. Then I believe when the issues that blockchain solve becomes big enough, people will use blockchains without needing to understand why. Why did we start to use cars? Because we needed to go from point A to point B faster. And until we as a civilization faced a problem this big, right? The bigger the problem, the more important the solution. And if there is no problem, then there is no value to the solution in the first place. This is why you see more blockchain adoption in third world countries than first world countries. So yeah. I
We'll
would
move.
keep it at that.
No, so good. We'll move on to Web3, but I have a quick question on blockchain. We talked about digital currencies being registered or their transaction being registered on the blockchain. However, do you think blockchain could be used in any other industries besides just digital currencies or in their transactions, or like what's the scope do you see in future?
My God. This is the topic that we can talk about for hours. Yes, yes, definitely. And I think people gravitate towards using cryptocurrencies in financial markets simply because it's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the easiest one for people to understand. Okay. Keep in mind that this crypto is the most fair and inclusive economy that was ever created. Point. Bitcoin is the most fair and inclusive currency that was ever created. Okay. Both you and I come from third/second world countries, let's say. Okay. When I was back home in Lebanon, I couldn't access a lot of the North American financial system because Lebanon is a blacklisted country. Right now, I'm having issues transferring funds from my company's account to my personal account, right? In Bitcoin's case, none of this exists. In Bitcoin, you simply need a device and an internet connection. There's no borders, there's no skin tone, there's no color, there's no nationality, there's no restrictions on anything. So that's why I think people gravitate to it first because the solutions are so obvious, right? We live in a world where the economy is not inclusive, the economy is not fair. The rich keep on getting richer and the poor keep on getting poorer, right? The divide between classes is becoming more and more. There are some countries in Africa, for example, that go completely unbanked, that 50%, 40% of their whole population is unbanked. How can we advance as a human race if people in first world countries are now paying with digital money, yet people in third world countries still are using cash and they don't understand it? So this is the real main problem I would say that crypto started to solve, crypto as a whole. But blockchain outside of cryptocurrency can be used in so many applications, and I will list them quickly. If you feel interested, we can talk about anything specific. The first one I like to talk about is gaming. I'm a gamer myself, right? You spend 2 years playing a game and you buy assets in that game. You buy skins for your weapons, you buy skins for your characters, you purchase battle passes, you spend money, you spend currency, you spend tokens. The second you decide you want to leave that ecosystem, most games don't have a marketplace for you to sell these items, for example. When it's very easy for all of these items, all of these assets, and all of these currencies to be digital, to be a digital currency on the blockchain. So that players can now trade their assets. The company that publishes the game can probably gain a royalty fee. For people who don't know, royalty is the fee you get on secondary sales of your items. So you create an item, you sold it for $1,000, the second person sold it for $10,000, you get a percentage royalty. So that's one place I like to always start as gaming because gaming actually got me into blockchain and into cryptocurrency. Second of all, definitely authenticating legal items, especially again in third world countries. A lot of the legal certificates and the papers are not digital yet, right? Passports, national identities, house certificates, car certificates, right? The second this physical paper gets stolen, you need to go to a dusty government office and have the lady pull through millions of files only to find your name and to pull it through, right? While all of these certificates can be tokenized, can be put on chain, can be accessed publicly, can be accessed privately even by the government if it's the only validator, and you have no risk of losing them. They are permanently there and on chain. A third one I will mention also, maybe I'll do four. So the third one I'll mention is combating fakes in the fashion industry. Let's talk about the fashion industry. Although you can do it, for example, to combat AI deepfake, you can even use blockchain to encrypt AI data. You can even use blockchain to encrypt the data AI is trained on and the data AI spits out. But countries are very notorious for duplicating designer luxury items, right? You see the same Hermes bag, AP Philippe watch, all of these nice luxury items. You can go get them for like what, a fraction of the price, right? And then how do you prove that this item is an original or is a copy without having to go to the store and asking for a review? It's very easy. You tokenize a certificate to every item and you link it to it. That way, the certificate is always permanently living on chain.
Yeah.
Fourth and most important one, in my opinion, creators. Creators on social media are the class of individuals that should benefit the most from cryptocurrencies and blockchain, simply because cryptocurrencies facilitate microtransactions. We're going to live in a world where every like you like to a creator is going to give them half a cent, a quarter of a cent, right? Any transaction nowadays on a traditional fiat network will cost you either a percentage or a flat fee. These are all taken away from creators. And you live in a digital economy. You create digital content on digital platforms. Why shouldn't the currency you be rewarded in? Why shouldn't it be digital, for example? All of these could be automated. Your wallet could be your login. And we will talk about these things when we touch on Web3 more, because this is actually what Web3 is really about. But in my opinion, the applications of blockchain are crazy. I'll also throw one last hot take. This, I don't see enough people talking about this, okay? AI, which is the craze of the century, I want to say, is a post-blockchain technology. AI cannot and will not be able to operate well without integrating blockchain technology, and I will explain to you how. You believe that we are transitioning into a world where there will be AI agents, correct? And these AI agents will be able to do tasks on our behalf. Hey, send an email to Karim to book him for this podcast, right? Then send a recording to Karim after that. Then probably your AI agent will be talking with my AI agent, right? Okay, these AI agents will become digital beings. These digital beings will need a currency to spend. Will they go apply to a bank account and wait for a human to verify them for 3 days? Or will they, in a click of a button, open a cryptocurrency wallet and get funded in seconds and send money to each other? So, yeah. AI and blockchain is the love story of the century that no one is talking about, okay? I will use blockchain to fund and to help its agents operate, but also AI will use blockchain to authenticate the data that the model is being trained on and the data that the model is spitting out and fighting deep fakes, fighting original videos, tagging if something was created by AI or not. Lots of interesting stuff. And to the viewers, to the people listening to us, if this didn't make you bullish and convinced about, technology as a whole, I don't know what will, right? The train is moving whether people like it or not. Early adopters are in. We're starting to get to general adoption. And we, especially young people, need to literally move our asses and learn about this technology, or else it will be too late.
Perfect. So I learned a lot of things today already regarding blockchain, that it's fast, secure, and convenient. Tell me, what do you exactly do as a blockchain community manager?
All right. Yeah. So community management is also a new topic and a new industry, I want to say. I think 10, 15 years ago, companies and entities did not understand the power that their users or their audience or their customers have. Nowadays, in 2025, us as users have way more power than we ever had. We and the public opinion is able to pump and dump the biggest companies' stock prices simply by talking about them on socials. Currently, nowadays, companies actually care about your feedback, care about your opinion. Companies worry about a negative review on Google. Companies worry about a negative review on socials because your brand perception is brand strength and your brand strength is company strength. So community management as a whole is a new job, to be fair. I think it's right between marketing and partnerships and customer support. It's at the intersection of these three fields. So what we do at Unblocked, which is the name of my own consulting firm, please feel free to check us out, is we manage Discord servers for the world's biggest crypto companies, right? We've managed over 500,000 community members. We've successfully delivered over 10 projects, right? So what we generally do is that these projects, whether they're a software, they're a startup, they're an online marketplace, they're a SaaS, so software as a service, an app, no matter what it is, these need communities of their own, right? These communities can range from a couple hundred individuals to communities like gaming communities, for example, can reach more than 100,000 individuals. So we set up their community hubs, we manage moderation, we manage chats, we manage also user growth and user engagement. So we help them go from 0 community members to 100 community members to 1,000 community members, so on and so forth. We help draft also, and here's the consultancy and advisory part, right? We help draft a lot of advisory reports on how they can grow their audience, on how they can engage their users more, right? To sum it up, nowadays, the hardest part for any startup or any SaaS or any digital company is to get traction, right? A lot of people come up with very successful products, but not all of them can get traction and can get users to their platforms. And this is what we do, right? Marketing, I want to say, gets user to your platform. Community management handles the user when they are on your platform. I take pride in what I do. We started because of gaming. That's why we started, why we know Discord, why we know online communities, because we used to manage gaming communities. We used to run tournaments for gaming communities, championships. We helped actually run a lot of the esports that were happening in the UAE. It was such a fun time. And all of a sudden blockchain came through and we started building Discord servers and managing communities for clients. And Harshit, oh my God, if I tell you, we used to get DMs out of the blue of insane demand for people wanting community management simply because it's something they didn't know what to do. At one point last cycle in 2021, 2022, I had 12 community managers at Unblocked under us. And we were overloaded with a huge demand for clients. Even sometimes we used to overcharge clients simply because we cannot handle them now, right? And it's hard to say no to a client, so you charge them more. That's how it is, right? In the service-oriented world. They wouldn't ask twice. They just say, take the money and, do what we need you to do. So this is how we started. From there, instead of me doing community management myself, I end up managing a team of community managers and stepped back from executing, stepped into advisory, stepped into consulting. And this is where we're at right now. Currently, right now, our biggest client has on Twitter alone 120,000 followers. And we manage their Discord is about 50,000 individuals right now, and that's only one of our clients. Yeah, lovely, 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 lovely industry. I took a nice bet on both blockchain and community management. A couple of years ago, my parents used to look at me and say, like, what do you do again? Sorry, what's this blockchain management? And nowadays, my mom still says, listen, Karim, I don't know what you do, but I trust you. It's okay. Just go ahead.
That's perfect. And you're a gamer, so I'm sure your betting game is strong. Moving on to talking about Web3, I think a couple of questions could be combined in one answer. Starting off with, what do you mean by Web3? How do you think it is different from the previous versions of Web 1 and Web 2? And what do you do as a Web 3 consultant on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. I think Web3 is the obvious and logical evolution of our current internet. Okay, it's called Web3 simply because it's the third version of the internet, right? So Web 1, if you really consider this, and this is another way to also think about blockchain. When the internet was first conceived in the 70s, 80s, right? What was the problem they were solving? They were trying to solve a transfer of information, correct? How do I get this text message from place A to place B in a decentralized cloud, which is the internet, right? How can I store these documents, this information, on a web page that everyone can access? So the internet was created to solve an issue of information and information transfer. Here's where blockchain comes part. The internet was not made. So again, the internet was made for the transfer of information. The internet was not made for the transfer of assets. When the transfer of assets became a reality on the internet, they had to face multiple problems, right? Who keeps the ledger? So who keeps track of all the transactions? How do we prevent double spending? How do we prevent someone to copy this information, send it, and then take it back, right? The internet is not built for the transfer of assets, only for the transfer of information, right? So stepping into Web3, Web 1 was the first version of the internet, okay? It's the internet of information. It's static landing pages. In Web 1, if you imagine all of our interactions as users on the internet are on a piece of paper, okay? In Web 1, we as users can only read from this piece of paper. So the flow of information is you're only taking information from this web page. If you go to any static web page, okay, or any Wikipedia page, right? Now, if you Google or if you go to Canada's Wikipedia page, you will see the exact same thing I'm saying, correct? Or I will see the exact same thing you're seeing. Anyone in the world right now that visits Wikipedia's page and searches for Canada will see the exact same thing because we're only reading off of this paper. This paper is not yet taking stuff for us, aka our preferences, our likes, changing what we. That's Web 2. So again, Web 1. Users can only read off of the internet. It's the age of, information on the internet. Web 2 is when we as users start to not only read, but to write back on this paper. This is why your social media feed is different than my social media feed. You know why? Because you wrote on this paper through your likes and through your comments that I like, makeup. I like food. I like chocolate. So that now your social media feed is different than my social media feed. Why is that? Because what you're writing on the paper is different than what I'm writing on the paper. So it's no longer an age of information. The exchange of information has become two ways. We're consuming information off of this page, but also these internet sites and the internet as a whole is analyzing what we're inputting into it, our preferences, our likes, our data, so on and so forth, and it's presenting us with a personalized version of our paper, our social media feed. Unfortunately, Web 2 is the age of big tech companies. It's when companies like Google, Meta, YouTube was acquired by Meta, Instagram was acquired by Meta, Facebook. So Google, Meta, let's just name these two. Apple, for example, they own all of our information. We as users are not getting a piece of the cake, and they are selling these preferences to advertisers. Okay? I will ask you and the audience, and I asked some very nice and tough questions, right? Out of the top 10 companies right now, if you open the biggest companies with the biggest trading volume, 5 of them are just data companies? What does Instagram sell? Just think about it. Nvidia, Apple, Instagram, Meta. These 4 companies, top 10. What do they sell? They don't sell a product. They don't sell a service. Yet these are the biggest companies in our world because they have commoditized data and information. Data is the most expensive commodity and piece of, and asset you can have. And we as users in Web 2, this resource is being stripped from us at no cost to us. Why? Coming to Web 3. Web 3 is where we as users get to read Web 1, write Web 2, but own Web 3 pieces of this paper. I'll tell you how we own very quickly because I know I went through a long time here. Any traditional website now, if you want to go log into it, you should be able to log in through Google or sign in through Google, sign in through Apple, right? It's because Google saves all of your data, all of your logins, all of your information, and you're able to log in. Great. And that's completely fine, right? I'm not saying dismantle the big companies like some people say. I'm okay with big companies, That's the word. If the market didn't want them, they wouldn't have grown this big. And that's what the market wants. Imagine instead of logging in with your Google account, you log in with your wallet. Your wallet, your Web3 wallet, your blockchain wallet becomes your account, becomes your identity. All of the interactions that are happening are going through your wallet. Your wallet is now keeping the data. You're able to tokenize this. You're able to go to data marketplaces and sell this. You're able to alter the permissions. Everything is going through some place where you have full custody over, which is your Web3 wallet. The only thing that governs your Web3 wallet is code and code only. That's it. Not a person, not a law. Code is the law, and code ensures your right and gives you trust in the transaction. So to take the gaming example, instead of the company owning the assets and you're just playing their game, you're logging in with your wallet. All of the assets are in your wallet, and then once you're done, you can sell them later on. Imagine a world where you can choose which advertisers to sell your Instagram preferences to. Imagine a world where you say, if no one is paying me, I don't want this data to be shared. Unless someone is paying me for this data, I don't want it to be shared. This is the power that Web3 allows us to unlock. Again, as a human race, so we level up and become like Star Wars and Star Trek.
Love it. Do you also quickly want to touch upon then how is blockchain and Web3 related? I mean, I get a sense of it from what you explained, but quickly if you have to explain it.
Yeah. In one sentence, Web3 is the internet powered by blockchain. So blockchain ensures that these assets in your wallet stay there. Blockchain ensures that it's all fair, it's all trustless, right? What Web3 really means is two things. Web3 is a third iteration of the web where users can read, write, and own. But also Web3 is the internet that's powered by blockchain, where you can now launch a website and put it on chain. You can now launch an application and put it fully on chain. Right now, there's also social media platforms. I would recommend, if anyone's interested, to go look at Farcaster. Farcaster is a social media feed with, I think, over 10 million users now. It's not like small, but all of the feed is on chain. So the feed is on the blockchain. So when someone posts, they are issuing the post to the blockchain. Farcaster is only the oracle or the viewer of this feed on the blockchain. You log in with your wallet, your handle, like your X handle or your Instagram handle, is attached to your own wallet. Your content is yours. You can get monetized. You can get paid microtransactions. Not because of Web3, because blockchain allows this. And what I do as a blockchain consultant is with my very in-depth understanding of this industry, I'm able to advise projects on how to develop products or services in this industry. I'm able to advise projects on market fit. I'm able to refine business models. We're able to also write down go-to-market strategies for startups. We get lots of clients that are startups that have raised funds, and that's the best client. Go ask any service provider. The best client they can get is a startup that has freshly raised funds, right? But we get a lot of these startups that, okay, they have money to pay, but they don't understand the industry. Not everyone understands this industry, and you need someone that understands this industry to be able to take your hand and guide you through it. And this is what we do at Unblocked, right? And I also think, the name and entitles in some way what we do, right? It's unblocked. So we're sort of unblocking the problems that our clients are facing, helping them achieve, challenges, overcome any problems that they're facing. So yeah,
The name of your consultancy, it's quite
thank you.
thoughtful. Perfect. I could get a sense that you are excited about many things in blockchain and Web3 industry. But what is that one thing that you're discouraged about any of these?
I'm discouraged.
Yeah, or you don't like about that, or gives you a displeasure about this.
Yeah. I think the initial vision of what blockchain was is very different than the current state of things. 10 years ago, we as an industry were ready to fight governments to stay away from our crypto. Now we're begging governments to buy to pump our bags. We lost the track of the path. And I'll say this, right? People are only interested in crypto when the price is high. And that's also very normal, right? Because that's when the media tells them. So smart investors like myself and like a lot of other retail and institutional investors have enough conviction, we trust and we know that this technology has a future to buy even when prices are low. When prices become high, all of a sudden the media pushes a headline, oh my God, Bitcoin is at 120K. Who would have thought a couple of years ago actually that Bitcoin was going to go to 120K, right? And then all of a sudden, retail comes in, they want to buy at the top. We smarter investors or institutions dump on them. When markets bottom down, media shoots another headline, blockchain is dead, cryptocurrency is dead, NFTs are dead, Web3 is dead, right? But if users and people and the world stop looking at prices and understand this one thing, all that Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto, all of these functionalities, all of the functionalities of blockchain are not attached to the cryptocurrency's price. Ethereum can do the same thing it can do right now, whether Ethereum is at 1 cent or Ethereum is at $1 million. Bitcoin can do the same things it can do right now, whether Bitcoin is at 1 cent or Bitcoin is at $10 million. So if you believe that this technology is solving a real world issue, then you need to be convicted in it. Then don't look at price action. One thing that bothers me, since to follow up on your question, right, is how much people are affected by the price of these things instead of looking at the real problems that these solutions are solving. Also, at some point, X, which was Twitter, the creator industry starts to get repetitive at some points towards the top of the bull run, and like a bull run is when prices are going always high. Like a bear market is when prices are constantly going down. At the top of the bull run, it starts to become toxic to be on X because everyone is repeating the same sentences. It sounds like an echo chamber. I don't. I really believe that the best crypto projects and the best crypto traders and the best crypto connections are made during a bear market because it's when all the noise is out. Everyone's there because they are convicted in the technology. No one is there because Bitcoin is at 120K. I have friends for the last 3 cycles. They come and they ask me at the top of the market, Karim, is this a good time to buy? No, it's not a good time to buy. I told you to buy X months ago. And then when you come tell them to buy when the market has bottoms up, they tell you no. It's too cheap. I don't trust it anymore. So yeah, for me, I'm happy, I'm thriving, I'm moisturized, I'm in my lane. For other people, just be convinced that the price has nothing to do with the functionality of the technology. And that's it.
When I was researching about you on internet, I came across that you were the incubator coach at Innovation Hub at Carleton University. Tell me about that. How was your experience?
Honestly, that was a great experience. It was a nice step outside of Web3 for me. I think my time at Carleton University really put the icing on the cake and rounded out my consulting experience. So I don't have a consulting background. Funny enough, I have a double major in environmental health and public health. I come from a family full of doctors. There's not a single entrepreneur in the family. There's not a single business major in the family. So what I'm doing was very different than, what my background was about. I wanted to study to become a doctor. I did 2 years of chemistry, aced all of my courses, but then just looked back at it and said, you know what, this is not what I want to do. So again, 2017 we got into crypto. 2020 we started providing services for projects. 2021, 2022 stepped more into consulting. But I had never had a typical traditional Web2 consulting experience. It was always consulting in Web3. So I knew what to do in my industry, but I didn't really grasp the role of a consultant. My time at the incubator at the Innovation Hub at Carleton University, especially under my boss, John Nelson, this is a big shout out to him. John was a one of a kind boss, right? Sometimes you used to get frustrated from him. But now, after these years, I realized that, the guy let me figure out my stuff by my own and let me really understand the things that I should understand and ask the right questions. So, 2 years at Carleton University's incubator, I took a step back from blockchain and I started to do whatever I used to do in blockchain, analyzing business models, problem solution fit, how well does your startup fit within a market, how do you need to monetize, how to scale, how to grow, but applying it to just normal startups. And the thing at the Innovation Hub is that we did not have startups that are, pre-revenue or at the revenue stages. 90% of the startups were still ideas. So it was a fast-paced environment. You're working with students that are your age. It's nice. You're working with young people. And I'm a tough love kind of guy, right? So I used to pressure people, pressure students that, no, you can do better than this. Used to be a bit harsh on them also. But it was nice. It was a great learning experience for me on how to become a better leader. Currently, thanks to these experiences, I run 3 teams with over 10 individuals each. And it's all because of experiences similar to the Carleton Innovation Hub. So yeah, big thanks. Rounded out my consulting experience and taught me to be a better leader.
I'm pretty sure many people who will watch this podcast would be inspired by you and want to get into the same industry. Do you have any tips for them who would like to get into blockchain or Web3 industry?
Yeah. First of all, there's a saying that says you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And I love this saying. And people tend to not understand it, first of all, right? You get Bitcoin at the price that you are convicted at. Okay? No one is stopping anyone right now to buy Bitcoin, to open up a wallet, to try on X, to try on YouTube to learn, right? Only when they get convicted and convinced by it that they will come and buy. So everyone gets Bitcoin at the price that they deserve. It's fair. It's fair. It's fair. It's the fairest economy out of them all. And in 1 second, you fill up your wallet, you buy a crypto, and you've filled up the whole transaction. It's so easy. Also, my second tip and my second advice is don't be intimidated. The user experience is much more easier right now. I'll give Canada's example, right? You can download Coinbase, for example. Coinbase is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in North America. It's a company traded in the S&P 500. Also, Coinbase is the custodian of 7 out of 9 of the crypto ETFs in the US. So they're handling multi-billion dollars of influxes. So that's completely normal. You can simply e-transfer yourself in 0 minutes at $0 cost. You take a photo of your driver's license and you are set and ready to buy crypto. It's that easy. So there's no excuses to start. Now, investing is the last thing you do. That's also the tip I want to give to people, right? First of all is you learn, then you participate, then you invest. This is my 3-step process for people. Learning is the most important part because a lot of your success in crypto relies on where you get your information from. Keep in mind, this is also one of my famous sayings. Everyone has opinions. My grandma has an opinion. Now, if I go ask my grandma, she's 90 years old, right, in Lebanon, what do you think about cryptocurrency? She will have an opinion. But not everyone's opinion is the correct opinion, okay? So be careful who you're listening to. There's a lot of information out there about every single topic. Just curate your information properly. So that's the learning part, right? Be careful where and how you learn and how you curate your information from. Put yourself next to individuals that are in this industry. Communities are a great way to get to know about blockchain because communities like to help each other out. So first of all, learn. Go to YouTube. Go on X. Twitter is the main source of cryptocurrency talk, right? That's the platform that this industry has chosen. All of these are still free. You still haven't bought anything. You still haven't spent $1. The second part is to participate. It's also free to open up a Web3 wallet, a Phantom wallet, a MetaMask wallet, an Xverse wallet, a Coinbase wallet. All of these are free. It's also free on some chains to run transactions. Or you can load up $1 or $2 just to pay the fees and go. There's lots of free shit, sorry to say the word, But there's lots of free shit on the internet. People doing giveaways, people doing activities. There's communities that do gaming nights. Today alone, I had 2 voice chat hangouts. One for Ep3, which is the community, the blockchain community we're building in Lebanon. It's Lebanon's biggest blockchain community. And another one for one of our clients, right? And all of this was free. We chatted with people, we taught them. Lastly, and the last step is to invest. And you only invest in money you can afford to lose. And the first chunk of money you invest, you will always lose. This is your learning curve. No matter what you try to do, you will end up losing this first $100, $200 that you put, right? And it's healthy for you to lose it. I lost $1,000, but now looking back at it, it's the best $1,000 that I've lost in my whole life. So yeah, learn from the right people, participate with the correct communities, and invest with money you can afford to lose. This is the 3-step process to join blockchain as a newcomer, in my opinion.
Perfect. I like the way you said invest the money that you can afford to lose. Perfect. Last question before we finish this podcast. I'm not sure if you have faced this ever, or let me know if it's an unreasonable question to ask, but how do you handle the fear and uncertainty of your clients? Like, have you faced this before?
That's a very nice question. I think a lot of us face imposter syndrome more than we think we do. Okay. And to be funny, a couple of months ago, we changed the strategy at the consulting firm about how we do sales and how we do outreach, right? So we work with clients on a retainer basis most of the times, unless a client really wants something very specific from us, we work on a retainer basis. We used to be afraid to lock in clients for 3 months, for example. We used to only invoice them for 1 month or write a proposal for 1 month. Then we started, hooking up clients for 3 months minimum. And then we started going for 6-month packages, and then 6-month packages became cheaper than 3-month packages. And clients used to pay us upfront, right? Or maybe 50-50, right? 50 before completion, 50 after completion of the project. And jumping from, 3,000-4,000 a month to getting paid a 5-digit amount in 1 day is a big jump for a founder. And that's when your heart starts beating. I was writing this proposal a couple of months ago, and I saw a 5-digit quote, and I'm like, holy shit. Is this the stage I'm at? I'm still 26, dude. It's still too early for me. I'm quoting clients for 15K. So don't fear imposter syndrome, okay? Especially in the blockchain industry, to me, this industry is new. No one's a professional. No one's a guru. Also, we are very, very much confident in our ability to deliver results to clients. And I'm very cocky and I'm very egoistic about what I do, okay? If this hasn't shown already, I guess it has shown already within the episode. So be confident that you can deliver results to your clients. Second of all, talk professionally, act professionally. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you ask all of my teams, I'm on top of my stuff all the time. My to-do list is always clean. My calendar is always clean. Now, 20 to 30 years old is my age to work 14 hours a day. When I'm 40, 50, I can relax. Now is the time to make millions, bro. And this is how I face fear or I face any doubt I have, right? No imposter syndrome. No one's a Superman. All of these rich people you see on the internet live normal lives just like me and you. They just put extra effort in what they do. Second of all, we can deliver results in the best way possible in this industry. We manage the best communities. We've managed communities for Coinbase. We've managed communities for France's biggest crypto company. We've managed communities for Dubai's biggest DAO. So there's no bigger clients than this in this industry, right? So if I'm not confident, then who is going to be confident? And then third of all, be sharp. Be sharp. People like sharp people, right? Don't fall into the trap that it's okay, people will accept you no matter what you are. No, people will judge. People will judge the way you talk. People will judge the way you wear your clothes. People will judge the way you put your document. People will judge if there's a typo in your website. So be sure to be sharp in every single thing you do. Either do something properly or don't do it at all.
Wait, and seems like this was the tip of the day. Thank you so much, Karim. It was pleasure chatting with you. Thank you again for joining me today on this episode of Think Through Podcast.
Thank you for hosting me. Always a pleasure to talk about my industry. Always a pleasure to talk about my job. I wish you all the best within the podcast. And then also, if anyone that's watching this podcast, guys, feel free to drop me a follow. If you guys are interested about blockchain technology, feel free to connect with me on socials. Shoot a question my way. And yeah, thank you again, and all the best with the podcast, Harjit.
No, definitely we'll link your Instagram and LinkedIn ID on this podcast just so people can reach out to you. Thank you again for this episode.
Thank you so much.
At this stage, you're already doing phenomenally well, but I still wish you luck for going forward with Unblocked. And I
Thank you.
hope to keep in touch. Talk soon.
Yeah, hopefully we will build the empire, the unblocked empire.
Love
All right.
it.